Hello and welcome. I'm doing it. Hello and welcome to the official podcast, the show where all three of us, the only hosts that have ever been on the show, don't ask questions, sit down and talk about fun little topics and things that we enjoy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew. We have our favorite Californian man, Kaya, and then our third host. Gentlemen, let's talk about something interesting. Jackson, why don't you start?
I thought you were just going to completely gloss over me. Just add our third host, silence. No kind of introduction.
You called it. I absolutely was. And then I realized that I wouldn't have a way to start the show, so I had to call back to you.
Okay. This is a very breaking news. For those of you in the audience that don't know, we record this every Monday, usually. Monday, 12 p.m. EST. So it's Monday the 11th at the moment. So this is kind of like very new news. What the fuck is happening with Kate Middleton, the princess from England, the royal princess who's like
she's a
missing
princess?
apparently?
Well, okay, so here's what I heard. Allegedly, she underwent some sort of surgery, and everyone was like, "Where is she? How come she hasn't been in public in a while?" So her account tweets out an image of her with her kids. Three of them, and she's sitting in the middle of them, and it's a lovely family photo, except it's highly edited and likely entirely AI generated.
Yeah, I looked at it. I looked at it for like 5 minutes trying to figure out, because you told me that it was like AI generated or whatever. I couldn't see it originally. Like I was like counting their fingers and stuff. But you zoom in even further, and it's like one of their sleeves on their cardigan or their button-up sweater
like transparent
is like
and
heavily transparent.
There's a boy on the left, to our left, whose fingers are completely fucked up. And also, like, there's wonky stuff with the girl's skirt. And you used to bend your fingers into, like, you used to grow fingers out of your fingers.
Snap your middle finger in half and bend it over your other fingers just for fun, just for a laugh.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it went that far. There's 4 fingers there, 5 fingers. That seems about right.
But it looks so awkward. I don't think
like,
anyone ever said,
yeah,
okay, say cheese and Jackson, break your finger and twist it over.
But I used to do, like, my mum always tells a story about how I came out of the womb and my fingers were all fucked up and bent in different directions, and she thought I was broken. That's like her first encounter with me. And all the people in the room were terrified because, like, my fingers were, like, all over the place and my elbow was, like, bent back and stuff. I don't know what happened to me. But regardless, like, I think even when I was, like, growing up, like, I just have very bendy fingers, and I would often do that in photos and stuff. So I don't think it's, like, inconceivable that this kid is just, like, twisting his fingers in a weird way just because.
No, it's not. I mean, I guess it just doesn't look... the finger looks way too, like, fat compared to his other fingers. But anyway, like, it's not the only artifact. There's a bunch of other stuff. Like you said, the girl's sleeve is, like, being overwritten by her skirt. And a bunch of other goofy stuff. And people were like, well, what the fuck is this? Where is she? Why are you guys tweeting out clear AI images of this woman and her family? And she has now, news claim that she has said that she was just experimenting with editing, that she's alive and well, but they have not since given out, like, an actual photo. So the explanation right now is that she was just messing around in Photoshop, I guess, because that's what princesses do.
Yeah, she was just sitting in the kitchen on her little Apple MacBook or whatever the fuck they're called, just photoshopping it just for fun.
Oh, for
it's just
sure.
her way of expressing herself.
For fucking sure. That's what celebrities with entire PR teams do for fun. They release public announcement photos that they personally photoshopped. Happens all the time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, in that situation, if you're photoshopping this, why wouldn't you unfuck his fingers as well at the same time? Like, why wouldn't you go through the effort of fixing that?
I guess I wouldn't notice, or if you're using, like, an automated tool. I'm sure this is just an intern who got lazy, and he was like, she was probably texting him saying, hey, tell these fucking plebs that I'm okay. I'm gonna go in my yacht now. And he was like, okay, whatever, OpenAI, make this look good. And then it did, except there's always gonna be artifacts. But people had fun with conspiracy theories that she was kidnapped and murdered by the cabal, and now they're faking her still being alive to control the country and shit. It's a lot of fun, but probably
I was going to ask, what is what is the main conspiracy? Like, what's the point of them hiding her death, really? Like, wouldn't they get way more sympathy if she did die?
I don't know. There's something about like the British royalty where people love conspiracy theories of them secretly still being alive. I know that like we have a fan who is obsessed with Princess Diana and her death because people think that they just made her disappear for no reason and she's secretly still alive someplace. Like she did not actually die in a car crash. She was extracted and removed by like the fucking vacuum salesman in Breaking Bad into a new life for no reason. Like these people don't even have any real power.
I thought the conspiracy with Princess Diane was that she was assassinated by the royal family because she was having an affair with some like African doctor, I think, who was curing AIDS or something.
Oh, yeah.
Am I way off?
No,
That
that's kind of
sounds
close.
like a thing.
That
yeah.
sounds right. Yeah. Like they were having some internal Game of Thrones drama, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how powerful is the royal family still to this day? I thought they were just kind of like ceremonial at this point.
Well, you're the one technically
Yeah.
kind of still tangentially related to it out of the four of us. You would know better than us, you know? Do you see any form of
shouldn't
anything?
you know this by heart?
That's actually like I've been thinking about that lately. Like historically, I've always thought that Australia is basically like Little Britain. Like obviously because we're an offshoot of the England, Britain. But in actuality, like the Americans have way more like influence
yeah, we
and power
do.
over us than
Oh, it feels
anyone
good.
else. We are basically
Chinese.
just an American island. Yeah, well, our main trade partner is China, but the Americans themselves, like I was reading up on like our legal statutes and stuff, and we had a prime minister. I think it was what was his name? Gough Whitlam, back in like the 70s, I think it was, and he was anti-American, like setting up intelligence bases in Australia. And you guys actually managed to like evict him and choose a new prime minister.
Yeah.
like you just fired.
Did you too watch the video on oh fuck, what is it? The American base in the desert that we have with the big domes?
Oh yeah. It was Pine Gap by
Pine Gap, yeah.
Boy
You watched the
Boy,
Pine
I
Gap
think.
video with Boy
Yeah.
and our lovely friend, Lovely Geordies as well on there.
Yeah, Friendly Geordies, yeah.
Friendly Geordies.
Yeah.
What am I? Sorry, I'm tired. Jesus Christ.
No, it's all good. That was, yeah, it was so wild just like learning that you guys basically just called up our local representative and like, yeah, you're fired.
Yeah.
Choose a new one.
We're so fucking cool. I love America. God damn it.
It's not cool for us.
Yes, it is. Shut up. I'll tell you what's cool and what's not, Jackson. I'm American.
How wild is it that you've just got a giant like intelligence base in the middle of our country that we're not allowed to go near?
Oh, let's
Just,
not
like, not allowed to
undersell
know
it.
anything
Let's not
about.
undersell it. As a powerful American, I have an intelligence base in many countries that the citizens are not allowed to go near,
That's
and
true.
it feels fucking great.
And many that
Yeah.
we don't even know about. That has
Yeah,
always
exactly.
like been funny to me, where you have embassies too, where I think it legally counts as the other country's ground. Like it's literally a couple of acres of land where it is, like if you're the Swedish embassy in Turkey, it is Swedish land by
Mhm.
law, just in the middle of Turkey. That always struck me as interesting. And
Yeah,
funny
that's
that,
why
like,
a lot of refugees in crisis will try to flee to the embassy,
Of course,
and
yeah.
all they want to do is just get past the gate,
Yeah.
because once that happens, they're legally out of on a different country's land and under their laws or something like that.
America's great too, because I remember when I was in Ankara living there, the capital of Turkey. So there would be the Swedish embassy, I think the German embassy or some sort of school, and then the American embassy. And I would always have to walk past all three of them on my way to the bus. And the Swedish embassy would have a nice fence, like a black fence that I can see through, and it was just green. A lot of trees. They basically have their own forest. It's really cute. And then you go near the American embassy, and it's an actual Ba Sing Se wall that is probably at least like 10 feet tall and 2 feet thick, just made out of pure concrete. And you cannot see inside, and the only thing you can see is the American flag peeking out at the top, and that's all you see. And they have like steel barricades and shit. I don't know if they changed anything, but I feel like Americans always
It's just
expect
super
their embassy to be
intimidating.
attacked.
Yeah.
That too, but it just looked like a fortress.
I think like a lot of American embassies, this is based off nothing but just gut feeling. I think a lot of American embassies want to exert power, obviously, as well. So they go for like more of a brutalism architecture that's just super like imposing, domineering, and just like over the top, just as a show of presence. Maybe not in Turkey, but I'm sure in most other places.
Oh, it was pretty over the top. I don't think they needed to have a fucking fortress in the middle of Ankara.
Yeah.
But hey, you
yes,
never
we
know.
did.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
When I was in England, they have a whole what do you call it? Like an avenue, like a road. It was like Embassy Road, basically. Like all the embassies are on that road, and we were walking through there, and the Russian embassy was just deserted, like broken windows and stuff like that, just like cordoned off, basically. And I found that very like interesting. It was just like vacant,
Condemned.
Yeah, there were like yellow signs up on the door saying like eviction notice, stuff like that.
To be fair, wouldn't it be really scary to work in an embassy where people hate you? May it be Russian or Americans were like, well, fuck, there's a new war and all the local people hate us and they're literally at the gates of the embassy right now. Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Call of Duty,
Benghazi.
but I think that Call of Duty mission was based, Benghazi. It was like a siege on an embassy and like everyone got killed.
Yeah, Call of Duty really happened.
Yeah, it happens.
It's based on a true story.
Embassies surprisingly are like common killing places. I still remember that one. You guys remember the Saudi Arabian journalist who went to the Turkish embassy, or the Saudi Arabian embassy in Turkey, and they killed him and hacked him up and then cleaned the crime scene?
Yeah. Khashoggi.
Very cool.
What was his name?
Jesus.
Khashoggi. It was Khashoggi or something?
Khashoggi, yeah. Yeah, and he was like going in. Oh, God. Okay, now it's sad. But he told his wife, I'll be right back. This shouldn't take long. And then he was, I think they said that he was wearing one of those smartwatches that tracks his heart rate. And it peaked at like 190 and then it just flatlined. And that's all we know about his death. And then the Turkish authorities were like, yeah, we're going to have to search your embassy, please. And the Saudi Arabians just said, no, give us a week. And then a bunch of journalists photographed cleaning crews coming in and out of the embassy with like bleach and shit. And then afterwards, the Saudis said, okay, now you can come in. And wouldn't you know it, there was no evidence of murder. Khashoggi just disappeared into the ether. No one saw him that day.
What country did this happen in?
Turkey, at the Saudi embassy in Turkey.
That's crazy. Could you imagine that happening in America? I feel like there's like these laws on the books about these embassies, but I think as soon as something would happen to an American citizen in one of those embassies, or anything that actually broke the law, the US would just be like, fuck that, and then just barge in and like take over the land basically again, like evict them.
I don't know, because I mean, think of Russia. Think of the last time they had like a American prisoner anywhere. They don't always barge in.
What do you mean?
I mean, think of the kid that was like detained and then beaten brain dead in North Korea. Andrew probably.
No, I mean, but I'm saying
Beer,
I'm saying embassies.
Warm beer.
Warm beer.
Yeah.
Yes, and like not only did the US not do anything, they literally like mobilized all of the late night TV show hosts to make fun of the kid for dying.
Yeah. No, but that's an entirely different thing, like invading another country to save one guy, as opposed to like an embassy on American soil, like going in and evicting them, basically, like being like, no, this is over. You no longer are allowed an embassy here. We're just taking back the land. Like, I think those rules, the rules about embassy rights or whatever, are only valid as long as the country cares about the rules, basically cares about keeping like a friendly relationship with you. I don't think America's just going to let you commit crimes on embassy ground in America.
No, but Americans do spy on you. They don't really need to let you commit anything. They can just control you from the outside. Like a really fun deep dive. I'm one of those guys. Sometimes I lie in bed awake like 3 hours and read Wikipedia pages on intelligence agencies, where all of these plots that they openly admit to, like not a conspiracy theory, they openly admit to like digging under embassies to plant microphones in the basements to listen in on other states. So it is actually in America's interest to have those embassies present because you can collect all of the foreign data.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just pay people and, all the spying. So I mean, if I ran an intelligence agency and I overheard you killing someone, I'm not going to be like, hey, I saw you do that. I might keep it in my files, though, for future use, I don't want to give away my hand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how much it must suck to be an ambassador and you get given like the post in like, some war-torn country or some shit. Like you get sent to somewhere where you're going to be miserable and you might die if like there's any civil unrest. Fuck that. Why would anyone take that?
Do you think in the embassy they have like water cooler talk and they're just like, man, the commute home is rough, huh? They got another guy with an RPG and it's like I have to take this new route and my daughter was kidnapped and oh boy. Yeesh.
Do they just live entirely in the embassy? They would have to, right? In those kinds of places?
Yeah. At my university that I went to, we had a lot of expats, like a lot of English people who would come just to be like English teachers. And we would also have a lot of them, literally, they do actually either live on campus or they live in the embassy, where they have their own grocery stores and stuff. So, no, they don't actually have to slum it with the rest of the native population. Usually.
So if they're in a country hostile to theirs, do they just stay in the fucking embassy all day and all night and just never leave like the fucking compound?
Yeah, you would have to. But I also don't think that there's embassies in countries that are hostile to your country in the first place. That doesn't make much sense. I think it's more like in these specific scenarios, like the countries are friendly. There's an embassy in there, but then civil unrest happens and like, a coup d'etat happens or whatever. And then, strife happens and you've got to get your people out as quickly as possible. But I don't think there's embassies in like unfriendly countries. So I don't think that would be a thing. I don't know though.
No idea. Are they paid well? Or are embassy workers like DMV workers, or do they actually get good pay for all the risk they're taking?
Yeah, I'm sure the ambassador is paid like really well, but what about like just the office workers there or whatever, or the secretaries or like the janitors? Like, how does that work?
That would suck. I mean, I assume as a janitor, they would just hire a local and give him like a pass.
From what?
Sounds like you're drawing from personal experience.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I was making. I'm just saying. It's literally an anecdote. What the fuck do you mean?
Wait, Jackson, was that a stealth segue?
You got me
into our first ad.
Yeah, it was somehow a stealth segue.
Drawing from personal experience. Oh man. Oh, I think I'm on to you. You know what? I'll go ahead and step up to the plate. How about that? Because if we're talking about personal experience. Which we are. This is a section of the ad where we talk about our personal experience. We cannot talk more about ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so your online activity can't be seen by anyone. And perhaps even more commonly used by the common folk out there, which we all are, let's be honest, it can change your location when you're using the internet. And there perhaps might be a host of this very show who, I don't know, at some point in this history of this podcast, discussed being in countries with different citizenships and needing to go to embassies and living in one place but being a citizen of another, etc., etc. Perhaps this host might have had to change their location to even record this show at certain times due to, I don't know, international censorship laws or, a lot of different reasons. My point is that is a personal experience and a personal endorsement. You can jot that down. We use ExpressVPN, and this show probably would not exist without it, to be honest. It is fantastic, fast, easy to use. All you do is open the app, click a button, and it does what it needs to do. Get all the content for the streaming services that you pay for. Don't worry about being restricted on the internet in any sense. Secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/official today. That's expressvpn.com/official, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. expressvpn.com/official, 3 months for free. And our next ad is very special and also has a personal endorsement and experience because no bullshit, I ordered this like 3 days ago because it's, of course, MeUndies. which is the most comfortable. You know what? They might not be okay with me swearing, but I just can't hold back. It might be the most comfortable gosh darn underwear on the planet. It is amazing. They have so many styles, so many colors, so many fits, so many different everything. My girlfriend got some stuff from them as well, so they have men's and women's sizes. This literally happened like 3 days ago. I can't get more personal endorsement than this, and I recommend it wholeheartedly. It is just super duper comfortable stuff. You can go on there, find the style for everyone. They've got classic, flat, regular colors to fun, expressive, wacky prints all over the place. Sizes extra small to 4XL. They're flattering cuts for everybody. They've also got lounge collection, joggers, hoodies, onesies, all sorts of lovely, comfortable things. They use sustainably sourced materials, and they work with partners that care for their workers. And if you're not happy with your purchase of MeUndies, which is impossible, let's be honest, but if it's possible, then it's on them in terms of returns. Good things come in big packages at MeUndies. Get 20% off of your first order plus free shipping. To prove that I'm buying this and really love them, they have a new print that's like neon pandas that I just think is super cute. It's like blue pandas on a pink background, and it's just so cute, and it looks great.
I actually like really love my MeUndies. Like I wear them all the time. They're super comfortable, super breathy. I have this like really cool print that I've been talking about in other ads. Like it's red slashes. I don't have it on me, otherwise I would show the camera. But there's like red slashes, and it looks really cool. Get a lot of compliments from my girlfriend from them. So keep that in mind, guys.
Oh yeah, they have 3 sections when you pick your style. They have like regular plain dress colors. Then they have like more exotic or patterned colors, and then they have, I think it's called bold. And it's where they just put all the wacky, funny, silly prints. And it's just great. It's just great. We use ExpressVPN to do the show for various reasons, but we also all wear MeUndies because they're just so comfy, and it's just so good. Our ads are great this week. Anywho, MeUndies.com/officialpod. That's MeUndies.com/officialpod, short for podcast, for 20% off plus free shipping. 20% off, free shipping, MeUndies.com/officialpod. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
You had an experience this week at Best Buy, and I wanted to hear more about it.
Good. I really wanted to talk about this. So I had some electronics to recycle. You know, do my part for the environment, not just chuck them in the garbage. And I looked up, like, who takes electronics? Old electronics, get rid of. And Best Buy has a service where they do it. And for the most part, it's just free. You just go there, drop it off, whatever. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to Best Buy for the first time in, God, like 5 years, or just a ridiculous amount of time. Because who goes to Best Buy? Who really does in the era of online shopping and whatever?
No clue.
And my point was proven correct when I got there, because not only was the store a ghost town, but there were no cashiers at all whatsoever, not a single one. And I was really confused. I was looking around, and I was like, okay, if I wanted to buy something, like thankfully I just needed customer service for the recycling, but if I wanted to buy something here, how do I do it? How do I purchase something? So I spent an extra like 10 minutes there looking around and figuring out like what you do. And it turns out that there are signs around the store that say, if you want to buy anything, download the Best Buy app and then scan the barcode on the merchandise, pay for it with your credit card, and then leave the store. And I just couldn't help but think the whole time, doesn't that defeat the vast majority of the reason you go to a physical store, where you typically want to try things or talk to an employee or I don't know, like get a feel for them or discuss options or have someone help you with your purchase? Why would I ever do that instead of just shopping online?
Yeah, buy online and like click and collect or whatever. And then just pick it
it's
up
dying too. The Best Buy is where I got my Meta Quest because I didn't want to wait for an Amazon delivery. I just went, I walked a couple of blocks and went there. Jackson, to give you an idea how Best Buy is in America right now, is, do you know that SpongeBob episode where Mr. Krabs makes them stay 24 hours, like late at night?
Yeah.
And the hash slinging slasher.
Yeah, isn't that's the hash slinging slasher?
No. Yeah, that episode. And there's just no one. You go in there and it's actually sad. It makes you sad because like it's just gray and faded blue colors, and there's wind blowing, and you're pretty sure it's haunted. And you pick up what you want, and then you look around, and it's just empty again, and you don't know what to do. Like, do I just walk out with this? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
wait, what happens? So you pick it up, buy it through the app, which fuck that. Well, I would already have left by that point if they want me to download yet another app. But regardless, you buy it on the app, you pick up the product, and then what? You just walk out the door? How does that not trip off any alarms or whatever?
I suppose, man. But so it gets worse. It gets worse. So alongside Kaya's point, the outside of the store was decrepit. The sign was just like falling apart, and the paint in the sun had just become this nasty vomit green instead of the trademark bright yellow. And like the inside needed new carpet, and it like everything was just slapped together and old and whatever. But I was looking into the app after I left. I was like Googling it because I was just super curious. Apparently to use it, you need to have your GPS on your phone active. And that's what tells the app, hey, I'm in the store, so I'm ready to buy this item now.
Holy shit.
And all I'm thinking this whole time is, think of the clientele who still want to go to a big box store like that to buy things in person. It's mostly going to be people who want that easy, no frills buying things experience, which is going to include old people and the technologically inept, people who don't want to shop online. Why the fuck would you make all these hurdles just for them to do the same thing they do if they shopped online?
Are you sure there wasn't like one token, like old person employee person there, like who was designed to step in and help any old person, like if they needed to download the app? Or was there literally no one?
There were employees there, but it was vast majority Geek Squad tech support, which makes sense if you're going to Best Buy and you want your shit fixed. Like, fine,
I've actually heard
that.
I've heard that Geek Squad is actually pretty profitable.
Yeah, I think it's slowly becoming like the largest chunk of their business, I believe, which, I mean, it makes sense. If you're tech illiterate, your computer doesn't work, you pack it up, bring it to Geek Squad, go to Best Buy. Yeah, okay, fine. I get people there, and that makes sense. But all the employees there, when I went, there was like 4 total. And they were all just hanging out at the front of the store. And I scanned the store while waiting around for them to ring stuff up. And there was just no one in the rest of the store at all. They were all just waiting for people to show up so they could maybe have something to do. And what's funny is I walk in and I'm like, oh, you know, I have electronic recycling. And they said, oh, I can help you at customer service. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But as I'm looking at the customer service line, it's also the checkout line. And they've hastily put up signs around it that says, oh, checkout here. If you're going to check something out, do it here. So there's literally no regular checkout anymore. All of the checkout lines were literally surrounded by like police tape and shoved in the corner of the store so that no one could even get to them. It's crazy to me that they think it's a good idea if the whole point of having a store like that is to cater to people who don't want to shop online. It's nuts.
Did you have to download the app to recycle? Or
thankfully, no. Thankfully, I did not. They just took them and whatever.
Well, but Best Buy, there's another tip from Jackson. Make sure that you require app download to pinpoint, like, guide Andrew to the recycle point.
Yeah. Make it as inconvenient as humanly possible for me. Yeah. That's right.
Well, no, they want
so silly.
It seems like it's pretty obvious
always
that they're direct.
Sorry.
I think that was a Discord delay there, not you just like stepping in. Yeah, regardless, I was going to say, like, their goal is very obviously to push the app on as many people as they can, because then they can send app notifications on, you know, sales and stuff like that. So I get the business sense there, but not stripping away like the core value of the actual stores themselves by removing all of that in-store like functionality and shit. It's so stupid. But I think
it's understandable they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that these big stores are going to go away. I think they're disappearing.
I agree, and it is the way of the future. I read about it. I believe 20% of Best Buy's revenue and climbing is all online sales from their store now, which, yeah, that's the way things are going, but boy, it's just weird, man. It's just so... I don't know how to describe it.
Everything is an app now. I know everyone has talked about this topic, but the fact that you like download a fucking Best Buy app or any shop app and it's like, allow access to photos on device. Why? What the fuck for? And it's an unskippable screen. You have to do it or you can't fucking finish making an account, which is another thing. You need an account and a phone number for everything now. It's just annoying.
Yeah. Oh, man. I get so pissed off when I can't check out as a guest on these online stores.
Oh, guest checkout should be mandatory on every website.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right. Jesus Christ. I don't
Not
want
just
to make
the
an
website,
account
in the
everywhere.
store too. Jackson, I don't know if you ever bought anything in America, and I don't know how it is in Australia, but here in America, if you go into a store and you buy something like a pair of pants, you have to deal with the fucking cashier trying to spam you with spam mail.
That's
saying,
not their fault.
Okay, can I have an email? No, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming the cashier. I just the business itself. Like, I can't just hand you $50 and walk out. I have to tell you, no, I'm not giving you a phone number. No,
And they prey
you're not
on the
getting
fact
an
that
email.
people have a hard time saying no, and it's difficult for them to be like, oh, no, thank you, no, 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 over and over and over. Eventually, they're just like, yeah, okay, sure, of course, ha, 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 just to get it over with.
But that doesn't get it over because then they've got to ask for your name, your email address, your phone number. It just takes longer.
Exactly. It makes it take longer, even though some people being polite will just agree to it. It's so fucked.
I know, and it's like you just say no.
I'll
thanks.
sometimes agree
That's
with
what
it
my
if
wife
I get
taught
like,
me, but
yeah. I always say no thanks unless they give me a discount or something for signing up for it, and then I'll just give them like a bogus email or some shit.
I
if they give me,
usually
like,
give them
50%
Brady's info.
I mean, depending on where it is worth it, depending on what and where you're shopping. But most of the time, it's just, hey, we'll email you a coupon on your birthday, and that's all you get.
Yeah,
it's like, who cares? There is a episode I'm going to implore, especially you, Kaya, because I think you'd relate to it like I did, but I'm going to implore everyone listening to watch the season finale of Always Sunny in Philadelphia that aired pretty recently. It features one of the main characters, and he talks about this entire phenomenon perfectly, just absolutely perfectly. He goes to a tea store and he's like, "Oh, I'll have a tea," and he goes through the whole spiel, whatever, and eventually he's got his card.
Episode.
What's that?
I said it's a recent episode. I love that.
Oh yeah,
episode.
it pretty much came out a couple weeks ago, I believe, or a couple months. But he's like, "Oh, you know, I got my card. Okay, I got the tea," and she goes, "Oh, you should download the app." And he's like, why? I have my credit card. I'm ready to pay. And she goes, well, if you download the app, that's kind of how our whole system works. And he's like, I don't want to have to download the app, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, okay,
I
fine,
have the
fine,
money. You have the
cash.
tea. Let's just swap. Yeah.
That is exactly what he says in the episode. I have the money. You have the tea. Why don't we just make this happen like it's happened for the last 50 years? And then she's like, you know, saying, oh, I can't. It's in the system. And he's like, okay, I have cash. I have cash. Here is cash out of my wallet. We will get rid of the entire transaction. We will just do this casually. And it is perfectly written. It is one of the best written episodes of television I've ever seen. I implore everyone listening to watch it. It perfectly summarizes what it's like to make transactions in 2024 and deal with everything being an app. It is amazing.
How frustrating it is as well.
Yes.
Like just the
the whole frustration and convolution and anger. It is perfectly written.
It's offensive, right? Like, not only are you like charging an exorbitant amount of money for a product in the first place at most of these stores, so just the act of giving you money for this thing feels mean.
Like,
but then you're also making it as difficult as possible to actually do that. It's like an arrogance on the company's part that is so frustrating.
Yep.
And the reason that like all the governments on the planet right now are going cashless. The future's cashless. We're not going to carry around cash anymore. It's because if I hand you over $50, you have $50. If I use my credit card to pay you $50, the bank gets a cut. That's the only fucking reason. They want their 3% fucking cut. And that's why you have to pay for a cup of coffee with your credit card now.
Oh, and don't forget upcharges on that, Kaya. If you have a smaller business or a business that goes, yeah, we acknowledge those fees, so we charge more on credit card to afford them. Well, that's just the customer getting fucked over in that case. That's very cool. Like, oh, God.
No, yeah.
Having said that,
they take their pound of flesh for just facilitating the transaction. Again, for a cup of coffee or some fucking electronics at Best Buy.
Yeah, but I never carry cash, and I'm never going to carry cash. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I hate cash. I hate counting it. I hate touching it. I hate handling it.
I'm the same way. I carry the minimum that I feel comfy just in case for like an emergency. But
I don't carry any. What's the benefit if like all it's going to do is like make a robber happy if he ever robs me because then he gets to take the cash. I'm never going to use it.
Yeah, there's a few times when you go to like a local store or a smaller venue, or like concerts and festivals have this happen a lot, where you're gonna buy something and they go like, oh, it's $32 for card, but it's $20 for cash or something ridiculous, and I'm like, here's a $20, we're done, you know.
Also, it's usually better
I'm never gonna carry it.
Like if you're tipping your waitress.
Yeah. We don't tip over here, and I don't want tipping culture over here at all. So I'm going cashless.
Well, you have to tip here.
I'm burning
sometimes it's better for like if the delivery driver is here. Like I don't want to pay you through the app because then DoorDash is gonna take a cut, or Uber Eats, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And the bank here, just take these $10 and no one has to know.
I would be fine with it. Like I would be fine with it, like with cashless, like a fully cashless society. But governments need to do their job and like impose like very strict minimums on the banks. They need to be like, this is taking none of your effort. You only get to take like 0.1% of transaction fees. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Keep dreaming.
I know. I know. Keep dreaming. But if that's the way society goes, then government does have to like grow some balls and do it.
We're back to the fucking streaming qualms of streaming services, man, where the convenience is now becoming inconvenient. Where, oh, if you use the app, you can just pay from your phone. You don't need to go to the checkout of blah, blah, blah. But then you have to download the app and have to have a good internet connection and make sure your credit card is valid and entered correctly. And like all this, you know, it's all this overhead that they want you to ignore for the sake of, oh, it's more convenient, it's simpler. But it's really not. It's just really not. And oh, I didn't even mention the employee angle. Think how many jobs this probably will eventually eliminate. People who work at Best Buy, they'll just say, hey, we only need a fourth of the staff because everything's on the app. Goodbye, get out. And there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, it's bad for the communities.
It's the same thing with the self-checkout thing where like I'm doing all the work. You're taking a cut from my credit card. You're asking me for a tip even though I scanned everything. So what's the fucking point in anything anymore?
Why live? Yeah. I'm done. That's it. It's over.
I'd rather just hand an actual human a cup, like money, please.
It used to work so well. Why did we have to change things? You were making money. You were making enough money. You giant corporations. You were doing good. You were doing fine.
I know.
You were the chosen
one. They make
one.
even more money now.
Well, do they? Like Best Buy might actually die.
I was gonna say for all those bullshit situations, Andrew, where like you're at a restaurant and they make you scan a QR code for the menu.
Oh, for the menu.
The fucking menu.
Yeah.
So
that's
if you have an old
man.
phone, just break the screen and carry it around with you, and you can pull it out and say, "Hey, I dropped my phone and it's not working. Could I have a physical menu?" And if you show it, they actually it circumvents the entire argument.
They usually do, but man, the one that pisses me off so bad, this happens more times than I can count. You go to a restaurant and they have the QR code menu and you pull it up and you try to scan it and your internet's slow. For one reason or another, you're in a bad location or maybe the building, whatever. So you have to sit there and wait for like 5-10 solid minutes to know what's on the fucking menu. And then you go, oh God, there's a button to go to the next section. Oh, I'm in appetizers. I need to look at the sandwiches. And you click sandwiches, and boy, I hope you have another 10 fucking minutes to kill for that sandwich section to load. That shit pisses me off to no end. Oh no.
I know.
God. Again, it's masked convenience. It seems more convenient, but it's just adding more problems, more things that could go wrong.
No, it's only convenient for the company. It's not convenient for us.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this at length before, but we've left the Goldilocks zone of convenience a long time ago with like movies, games, just any physical product that you're trying to buy. It used to be like, oh, I can just stream this movie. I don't even have to download it. That's pretty cool. Nice. Yeah. Now it's, okay, $20, $21, email, spam. Hey, we just increased the price to $25. That show? No, we don't have it anymore. We canceled it. Also, we removed it from Netflix. Also, all your favorite episodes are gone because they're too offensive.
There are too many fucking things. Too many fucking things these
Piracy
days that want to be
now.
Yeah, want to be subscription. One that I found out recently. Did you guys know that HP is trying to make their printer ink a subscription service only?
I did know that, yes.
Isn't that fucking disgusting?
But actually, that's the most expected thing. The the printer industry is like one of the very first I thought would go this route. Like they are the most evil people ever.
They really are, but man,
really
it's
are.
just so fucked. Like they do the same thing that Keurig does, which is where it's all proprietary and it all has checks and balances. Like, hey, you better be using our authentic K-Pods, our authentic printer cartridge, or I'm not going to print. But now they want that authentic printer cartridge to be fillable via subscription service only. So even if you're not using the ink, you have to pay for it regularly. Like, it's so fucked. It's ink. It's a physical thing. It sits there.
If this is true, why don't we, us three, come up with a new printer and really shake up the industry and just make it like free use, basically? Like just pour whatever liquids you can find into it and somehow
That's
it'll
already a
produce
thing.
ink from
No,
that.
I actually don't hate that. You know how there's a lot of like internet personalities and bullshit who are like, okay, this market sucks, so we're making our own like gaming PCs or what have you. Why don't we make gamer printers that don't have this subscription bullshit
God.
and we just sell you a
They're all
good
black
printer
and
with
red.
good ink? Yeah, they got speed lines
They
on
glow.
them. They print at high
Yeah. RGB
FPS, so they
lights.
print really fast.
What's a gamer got to print?
I don't know. It's something.
Porn.
anything.
Says, why would a gamer need a printer?
Don't worry
I
about
think
that.
you have a problem with the market audience here.
Yeah, don't worry
But no,
about
also,
that. You'll
uh,
print something.
You're also going to have a problem because this is already a thing. You can buy printers that work with liquids only, which is where you like it's a tiny, it looks like a shampoo bottle and you pour it in. You don't use cartridges.
Jesus.
Well, then why don't people just use those?
I don't know. I do. I never have
Oh, okay.
problems with my printer. I don't know why. Like, it's usually such a big deal, but mine just works. But it is still evil to make anything subscription. Like, something that I laughed at the other day was, apparently they have hair growth drugs now that actually work. When I was little, this was a scam, but Walmart carries them.
Wait, what?
There's one of them.
You didn't tell me this. What? Where?
Well, allegedly, I don't know.
No, that counts as a promise.
When I was a child, there used to be these giant medical scams. One of them was fat loss pills, and the other one was hair growth pills, right?
Mhm.
Well, they figured out fat loss pills, and apparently they figured out hair growth pills. And Chet said it's minoxidil. But here's the thing.
Minoxidil is a
apparently it stops
liquid, and that's been
working-
around for ages. That's been around for ages. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about.
I think it is. But apparently it stops working when you stop taking it. So your own hairline is going to be a subscription service where you're going to have to keep paying for this thing.
I mean, that. To be fair, that's fine. Like that's a very easy subscription to make. I would assume. Well, for me, it is. if I had a subscription that guaranteed hair, I would cancel all of my streaming services immediately.
Fair enough.
Like that's not even
just
not
thought it
even a
was funny.
consideration. I mean, it's gonna be bad though. Like if our entire society is heading towards an entirely subscription based model, which it is. Like imagine like if there ever is a cure for cancer, they're gonna slap that on a subscription. Oh, you didn't pay
It is,
for
and
the
it's
full
so
1 year
insufferable.
annual
The whole-
subscription, then you get cancer back.
The whole you will never own anything and you will be happy agenda, where was it the Activision boss who said something like gamers need to get used to not owning their games? Who the fuck said that recently?
Yeah.
Some CEO.
I know what you're
It
talking
was like
about. Yeah.
it's like all of them.
Chet says Ubisoft. Yeah, fuck you. If I'm not gonna own anything, then
Yeah.
you're not gonna own anything. Fucking pirate everything. I'm not paying you anymore. Fuck you.
Didn't
Can
Sony
we-
just
can
do
we
something
do
like
the-
this
the
where
classic- Sorry, Jackson. Go ahead.
there was a demo that released on the Sony platform for a game called, I think, Stellar Blade, and they released it too early. And so Sony just like pulled the plug and deleted the data of everyone's consoles. Like they
Yep.
went in and just removed it from every single console. So you don't own
Yeah.
anything.
Fuck. There's an Ubisoft game. I think we talked about it on the show that's just being pulled. They're shutting down the servers, and because it's a single player game, but with always online, it's just now completely dead, and you literally can't play it anymore. And there's whole petitions and lawsuits to get it back. It's the fucking Ubisoft driving game.
The Crew. It's
The Crew,
that's
yeah,
the
the first Crew game. The first Crew game, yeah, I think we mentioned it on the show, where it's a fully single-player game, completely, utterly, fully, possibly single-player, but it's always online. and hidden in the code is a flag to remove the always online component, have an offline mode, but they locked it and encrypted it, so you literally can't change it. And now that Ubisoft's shutting down the servers, they're just taking a single-player game away from you, period, with nothing to do about it.
It's so fucked up. And EA had a little dilemma this past week because apparently it's a leap year. So we had February 29th. EA didn't account for this. So their always online bullshit wasn't able to check the date correctly. So people's games were crashing on launch.
And their fix was to go to the calendar in your thing and put it to March to skip the leap year day. Jesus Christ.
Literally the same trick you used to like get more turnips in event.
Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Animal Crossing. They just have to trick the console because of this nonsense.
I know, it's fucking bad. It's archaic steps from like the 90s to fix computer issues. Did either of you guys watch Deadwood? Did we talk about Deadwood a bit on the show?
Never seen it.
I don't remember.
It would have been, I thought it was Kaya if it was, but not important. So Deadwood, finished Band of Brothers, and I went, all right, I want to watch another like all-time classic, all-time incredible show. So I picked Deadwood, which is a Western show, and it's very good. It's super solid. But I'm going to bring back this classic dilemma that happens all the time. I hop on Amazon, and I buy the first season. And I go, it's time to watch Deadwood. And as I'm watching Deadwood, it's fine, but I've noticed the subtitles are just delayed. Just like a full sentence delayed. And I put the subtitles on because every now and then I want to like make sure I hear a piece of dialogue, you know, I want to be able to pay attention. And they're just delayed. You'll have a character say something and a whole sentence later, the other character's talking, but it's the subtitle for the previous sentence. So it's like, well, these are useless. This is just confusing. What the fuck? Or it spoils things. They'll come up too early and just before anyone says anything. So it spoils what's going to happen. And I did the classic thing. I went on the fun little piracy website and I typed in Deadwood Season 1, found the Blu-ray rip. Not only are the subtitles completely fixed, but the picture's better. I didn't even notice. It looks better. I'm like, what the fuck? It's not even a higher resolution. I have a 4K TV. It is a 4K television. So when I download streaming service stuff, I expect it to stream it in 4K resolution because my internet can support that. It should, though. It absolutely fucking should. My internet supports it. I know for a fact it should. But then I download the Blu-ray release, which is usually 1080p, not even 4K, and it still looks better than the streaming services. It's unreal how shitty they are now. It's crazy.
I had a situation like that recently as well, where I think I was watching, it was either West Wing or maybe It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I bought the season through Google Play out on my main living room TV, which is also a 4K monitor, 4K TV. And so I click play, it pops up, and for some reason it's limited to only 240p.
Yeah,
it can't go higher than 240p. And I was so livid. I was like, what's the deal with this? So I go into my computer room to pull it up on my 4K monitor. It runs at 1080p in here for some reason.
Yep.
But also it won't open. It just says there's an error with streaming this. Just contact support.
From what I know.
And I'm like, what the fuck? There's so many fucking errors here just to watch a fucking TV show that I've already paid for.
I had that exact fucking thing happen at my mom's house. So from what I know, I looked into it a bit. I believe it's because Google, and other places have this too, but Google's really shitty at it. They have anti-piracy measures. And if your connection to your output does not have the right components to enforce them, it restricts the bandwidth so you can't pirate the movie in HD. And that exact thing happened to me when I was visiting my mom for, I think, like Thanksgiving or some holiday. And we all were like, hey, let's watch the new Batman or some fucking movie. And I went, yeah, we'll put it on. Oh, it's on Google Play and you're already signed in. Let's just rent it. So we paid the $6 or however much. And that happened. And I went, okay, everyone, I guess we have to wait 20, 30 minutes for me to download the movie instead. I'm sorry. I know we wanted to watch it right now, but we're not going to watch it until 40 fucking
Blame Google. The biggest company in the world, and they can't supply high quality image to people, paying customers.
Well, video streaming is extremely expensive, and all of these companies have to do like this cutting corners and cost saving, where they have to compress the movie so much it looks like shit, to the point where you just downloading some dude's Blu-ray rip, like Andrew said, is just easier.
Yep. Yeah.
Takes me 5 minutes.
I'm at the, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I'm at like fool me 14 times by this point, because I don't know what it is. I just keep giving Amazon or Netflix a chance.
Because you want to be a good person. You want to actually pay for the things that you do. Yeah.
I like the convenience. I love sitting down, opening my browser, looking up the show I want to watch, clicking watch now, and it just starts. It's so nice. But man, something always happens that just makes me turn to the dark side. I want to do it right. I want to pay for it,
but it's not the dark side. You guys got, both of you got psyoped by this thing like, oh, you wouldn't download a car, would you? Yeah, I would. Why not? Fuck Ford. I would steal from Tesla. No, I don't give a shit. Fuck you. It's easier.
I just think stealing's immoral. I'm sorry, I just do. Like, that's just how I'm built.
Okay, that's fine. I think stealing from Netflix is fine. I don't feel bad at all.
If you think that.
I go to my pirate site and I have it bookmarked in my Firefox, and the bookmark is called Netflix. And it's just a pirate site logo, and I just go there and it works.
The next time I'm finding a show I want to stream and watch, I'm going to have a little Angel Jackson on one shoulder and a Devil Kaya on the
other. Just steal it. Just do it.
Just take it. And then
no, your conscience.
No, Andrew, that's wrong. Watch it on streaming.
But then you start up the pirated version of the Batman or whatever, and Angel Me sits down on your shoulder and watches it with you. I'm like, oh yeah, this is way better. This is great.
Why would you ever pay for this? This is amazing.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Devil Kaya, nice.
Devil Kaya.
Devil Kaya.
I think most pirates agree that you should pay people for the work they put into all of these shows and whatever they make, the music, the art, everything. That would be fine if these companies didn't remove content you already paid for from your devices. Like when Amazon deletes books off of your Kindle. Okay, at that point, I'm okay with stealing from you. Because you stole from me. I paid. No,
well, if you paid, yeah, sure. If you paid, if you've already made that transaction, sure. Absolutely. I'm fine with that at that point. I'm fine with you. If you've paid, it's like with emulators, right? With like, if you've bought a Nintendo DS game, totally fine with you then downloading the ROM to play a Nintendo DS game.
ROM sharing is the illegal part. Emulators are not. So that even falls in the legal area.
My issue with like stealing content or, downloading pirated versions of movies or whatever is that I don't consider entertainment like, compulsory or like something that you need to survive or live. So I don't consider stealing it like a moral act. I mean, I consider stealing it an immoral act. If it was like food or something,
I get what you mean, but
you need to survive.
You could also play the. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go ahead.
Well, Jackson, you could also play the. Trying to think what the term would be, but basically you reimburse what you took, like the take a penny, leave a penny kind of shit. Obviously, the vast majority of people don't pay when they pirate straight up. It's just the truth. But I'm in that rare minority where if I find something through piracy that I like and I can support it with money, I will do it. I can't tell you how many bands I'll be trawling just music downloading websites because I don't want to deal with Spotify or whatever bullshit. And I'll find an album and I'll go, oh, this is great. And then I'll go to their Bandcamp and I'll buy a real copy of the album. Or what have you, like games. I don't really pirate games much anymore, but back in the day when I didn't really have money, I would pirate a game and play it for a few hours and go, oh, this is awesome. And then when I got enough money, I would buy a real copy of it. Not everyone does that, I'll admit, but it's still possible now to do. You can still play that. And it's actually easier now than ever because think of a lot of people who have like Patreon or other places like that where they get crowdfunding. And let's say, for example, you have an artist and you find their art through a leak pack, like someone re-uploads it to a different website and you're like, wow, they're really good. You can just go to their Patreon and sign up for a month and be like, yeah, that's how I found you. Not everyone does that, but it's possible now more than ever. Easier now.
If you somehow paid them
for the another good example,
for the product or the entertainment that they created that you consumed, even if you pirate it, like if you paid them, then it's not an immoral act to me. It's just not. I don't consider that an immoral act at that point. If you've paid them what they think that it's owed.
God, Adobe is a great example of that. Way back in the day when it was first starting out, I would pirate Adobe, and it was simply because I could not afford it. I was a broke college student. I could not afford any shit at all. And like I had fucking $40 in my bank account each month. So I wanted to do YouTube videos. So I pirated Adobe Premiere and all that shit. Sony Vegas back in the day. Pirated the shit out of it. Could not afford it. But then I got a software job and I went, okay, I'll just buy it. I think that all the time I've put into these programs is worth it. I don't want to go through the hassle of pirating all the updates. I will buy it. And I bought Premiere and all that shit. And then Adobe comes out and goes, hey, we're doing a subscription model now. And I said, fuck that. And I went back to pirating it because I don't want to pay for that. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And that's why the whole piracy hurts companies thing is a myth. There are so many teenagers who download Adobe products like Photoshop
that then buy into it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and eventually they get actual jobs using the skills that they learned pirating the fucking software and using Photoshop. And they go, okay, well, this is more convenient. I want the most recent version and I don't want to have to deal with like weeding out the fucking virus on my computer. I'll just buy it. I bet Adobe actually makes more money from piracy than it loses. That's a lie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. There's a reason that to this day, I still buy the vast majority of my games on Steam. And it's because it's just convenient and it works. It's there, you download the game, you're good. You can play it in offline mode. You don't need an internet connection. And obviously there are caveats here and there, but I think overall Steam is a fantastic service the way they have it set up for what it's trying to do. It's not like, for example, if I go to play my game like Netflix where they go, oh, we're going to bitrate your internet on the game because it's just peak hours right now. They don't do that. They're just a middleman and they give you the product. Whereas all these streaming services and whatnot, they have all these fucking stipulations and overheads and things that can fuck you over, and that's not worth paying for to me. But when Steam goes, hey, we give you a direct download, we have good servers, you can log in, keep your games in one place, I don't mind paying them for that. I don't mind paying them the Steam tax for whatever it may be. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because it works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To go back to your point though, Kaya, real quick, you were saying that like Adobe obviously is a company that isn't hurt by piracy, and I 100% agree with you. And I don't think most big companies are hurt by piracy, but especially in like the games industry, I absolutely would think that piracy would hurt smaller companies. I don't think
it would. It's just okay, but it's the same argument as like, if you download a game that's shorter than 2 hours and you play through it and you refund it, you're kind of a dick. Because if you enjoyed it, you should still give the dev the money.
There's entire YouTube genres about doing that. Yeah.
Because if you like the developer, I don't care I don't care if you mail him cash or pay him Bitcoin or a credit card transaction. It doesn't matter. If you want to support him, support him. I'm just saying, stealing from a company like Amazon or Netflix is okay.
I have a complete like mental hang up with stealing in general. I just don't think it's a moral action. I don't think it's good for you as a person to be stealing stuff in general. I think we make too many concessions on that kind of mindset in general, and we see that in society at the moment. And again, you can also say this from like a corporation side. Like the corporations are stealing from us as well. There's thievery going on across the board, and I just don't like any of it, really. I don't like it as a concept.
I get that, Jackson, I do, but it's more complicated to add to the moral gray, and I'll give you a good example. On Amazon, there is a big problem that happens all the time where people will upgrade their computer parts for free by just swapping returns. So it's happened to me because I was sent the wrong thing from it. But what they'll do is, for example, let's say you have a processor, and we'll call it the 5000X. And then the new 7000X comes out. So what they'll do is they'll buy the 7000X, take out their 5000, swap them, and then send back the 5000 saying, oh, I'm returning the 7000. And then Amazon, most of the time, they don't do this. Sometimes they'll just resell it and be like, yeah, it's unused, here you go, and you get the wrong thing. But most of the time, for the majority of their products, and this is for everything, they just throw it out. because it's labeled as opened or damaged or used, and they can't sell it for one reason or another, whether it's too hard to sell as used, or there's like consumer protection laws that say, no, you can't sell that used, or they can't guarantee the authentic, like there's 100 reasons, but they will just throw it away. Just get rid of it. Industrial waste. Is stealing in that context, doing that processor upgrade, immoral if it's something where, you know, you knew you weren't just directly doing it for stealing? Let's say you bought it and it doesn't work how you wanted it, or et cetera, you know, and you say, oh, I'll just keep it anyway. I'll give them the old one. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's not as clear cut and dry.
I'm a bit confused, honestly. About
so the idea is that if they're going to throw it out anyway, let's say there's a circumstance where you buy it and you're going to keep it out of convenience, like, this isn't really as good as I thought it would be, but it is an upgrade. I may as well just keep it and return the old one. You know, I'm probably not wording this as well as I want, but the idea is that they're going to throw the merchandise out anyway, so it's not like it's taking directly from someone else. Is what I'm saying. It is taking directly from the company.
Okay.
Amazon makes it very easy to scam them, Jackson, is what he's trying to say. Where, like,
yeah,
if you order something like a graphics card. Huh?
I was just going to say, like, someone making it easy to steal something doesn't mean that stealing is a moral act. And again, and also on top of that, I don't think that you have a moral right to steal something if the product is bad. Like, if you play a game, you don't like it, I don't think that gives you the moral authority to then steal it. I just don't. I don't see how that ever
depends on their
sense.
attitude. But what I think what Andrew was saying,
I don't think the attitude either.
If you order a CPU and you say to customer service, this didn't arrive, even though it did, and they refund you, is that immoral?
Wait, sorry, say that again.
If you order something on Amazon and then you get it, but you still say that it didn't arrive and you get a refund, is that immoral?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What? You guys think that's moral?
No, I'm actually really struggling
moral.
to make my point.
Me too.
I'm failing for the words for it.
Wait, how is that?
Word, but
you think
like,
Amazon is usually going to just be fine with that? They're going to chase it up with the person who delivered the product. You're putting an onus onto the delivery driver in that situation. It's immoral.
No, it really doesn't. They make so much money that they don't.
Yeah.
Like, the delivery
the chance
driver
that they
does
do,
not get in
you don't
trouble.
know that for sure. No, you don't know that for sure. If you knew that for sure, I guess you could make the argument that it's a moral action, or it's not a moral action. You're not being a good person by doing that. I guess you could argue at the very minimum that it's like morally neutral, sure. But like, unless you're absolutely certain that they're not going to chase it up with the minimum wage driver that is delivering the products, then it is a morally bad issue. The issue with all of these kinds of like workarounds, these kinds of workarounds and tricks that you guys give me, is that I can directly see them being used as excuses for when people like, you know, rob and thieve from like small stores and neighborhoods and stuff like that. And that's
I think you just gave me the crux of what I was missing and just couldn't formulate with my words. I'm not saying stealing is right and you should just steal from them, but I'm saying that those situations make it far easier for people to forgive or say, oh, this is okay. You know, they're not directly like shoplifting out of a store and walking away with it. But when, for example, they go, well, I bought this thing and, well, I want to return it, but, oh, they're just going to throw it out anyway. I may as well return my old one and keep the new one if they're just getting rid of it regardless. You know, stuff like that makes it more palatable for people to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only situations where I see stealing as morally permissible is in situations where it is for survival. So for food, medication, stuff like that, where you directly need it for survival. Entertainment is just not one of those. And I see a lot of people saying, but I don't have money. And that made sense to me when I was like a teenager and I wanted to play the new Halo Reach or whatever. So not Halo Reach, couldn't pirate that. But, you know, a game on a computer. Sure, that made sense when I was a teenager. But looking at it objectively, I don't think that's a morally stealing entertainment is not a means of survival. So I don't think it's morally permissible for me.
That's not a means of survival, but you pirated, at least I did, Adobe products, and now you use them. They got money from your you stole, and then you paid because you enjoyed the product so much.
I don't think it's moral, but I think in that situation as well, you could make the excuse that it is for survival through avenue of, building skills to get a job and then money. It's more acceptable to me than entertainment, just pure entertainment.
Jackson, I have good news for you. You are going directly to heaven. You've earned it.
Oh, thank God.
You're getting in. I think you have a very staunch moral code against stealing, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think for the vast majority of people, it's more gray and muddy. So
absolutely.
I'll give you another good example. Obviously, for survival, stealing can be justified easily. Oh, I needed food or I was going to starve to death, whatever. But let's take soap. Let's take cleaning products. Well, think about it. Hygiene is crucial to survival. If you get infections from being dirty, you'll die. Does that mean stealing soap is okay?
Again, we're going to get into very particular circumstances.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's my whole point, though. It's different from person to person.
Yeah. No, I've never claimed that stealing or any situation dealing with ethics and morals is, black and white. There's always going to be gray situations with almost every kind of thought process. Right. That's
the point I was trying to make earlier, where I stumbled on sticking the landing. But with Amazon, because they are so massive and the returns are so easy, and they just make so much money and they throw so many returns out, don't even bother reselling it. I think that company specifically, it's very easy for people to find mental loopholes to not feel bad about stealing with them or being dishonest or what have you. I think they're a special case with a few other large companies where people feel justified doing those things with them that they wouldn't normally with other businesses,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally I can see people feeling justified in their actions against these big corporations and stuff. Like we all see, this was making me very annoyed previously. I have no love for Amazon or any of these big department chains. They obviously are very evil corporations a lot of the time, so I don't feel any sympathy for them. I just don't think accepting the idea or the concept of stealing so universally across society is good for society itself. I don't think it's
stealing from
conductive to
stealing from
a good
individuals
society.
Is bad, but stealing from evil corporations is okay in my book.
No, but I think it's a slippery slope in that situation. People will use that as an excuse to then just keep stealing whatever they want, basically.
Fair enough.
We're going to steal from you, Jackson. What do you think of that?
You're not wrong.
Well, I wouldn't like that. Okay,
too bad.
I would.
You can enjoy infinite wealth when you get to heaven because of your moral code. I think I'd rather have your TV now.
See, that's my issue. My grandparents. Well, first of all, my issue is I don't want my stuff stolen from, so I kind of operate on I don't want to do to people what I don't want them to do to me kind of thing. So because I don't want my shit stolen, I don't want to steal. Yeah, I don't want to steal other people's stuff. And I've also seen how it affects people as well, firsthand. Like my grandparents, when I was growing up, had their houses directly broken into and a lot of their shit stolen, a car stolen as well. And it was just very it's very confronting and troubling to have your stuff stolen. It's actually an enormous invasion of your privacy. It's not just the products being stolen. It's an assault on you almost, because you just feel so fundamentally besmirched.
I agree. I think we all agree.
That's not the case in corporations.
Yeah.
Well, Amazon takes away your books that you already paid $16 for. At that point, I'm okay with people stealing the books and sharing them illegally.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay. I said, if you've paid for the product, I'm totally fine with you downloading it and pirating it, as long as you've paid for it previously. But if your main crux of the issue is like Amazon itself, just don't buy from them, don't give them money. It still doesn't excuse pirating, or it still doesn't excuse stealing. I mean,
see, and I think that's specifically you. I think you have a very staunch stance against this, whereas I don't think the common person thinks the way you do. Like I commend it. It's not a bad thing. It's only a good thing. But I think the common person is far more likely to give leeway to circumstances like that. For example, 100%. If I took a regular Joe Schmo and took him to like a mom and pop store and said, all right, you can buy, I've learned this trick here. You can buy something here and then return it, and they have no questions asked. So you can like give them something shittier and get, you know, free upgrades.
Yeah, people are going to take advantage of that immediately. Yeah.
Not from a, well, I think that a lot of people, if it was a small local business, would feel way worse doing it than if it was Amazon.
No, I really don't agree. I think you'll find probably equal amounts of people taking advantage of both situations. If you have the capacity to like steal like that, or I don't know if that's directly stealing, but like, you know, engage in those kinds of tactics, I think you will probably find that you're able to convince yourself to do it to mom and pop stores as well.
I mean, I don't know if we have any data or numbers on this. I don't think we could ever really find this, but I would be willing to disagree. I would think that when it comes to scaling things, people feel more comfortable. I'll give you an example. It's kind of like how a murder in the news is a tragedy, but a group of murders is a statistic. You know, so think about high-profile murder cases where if you have one victim and it's like she was stabbed and it was tragic, they'll focus on that one person and be like, oh, that fucking sucks, it's terrible. But imagine you have a serial killer. It's always the 10 victims, the 10 people they killed, but this person is so bad. Look at all the people they killed. They don't focus on the victims. They focus on the killer. And it's because that one thing stands out. You know, the group doesn't matter, but when it's an individual, you connect to it, you relate to it. And I think the same thing applies to corporations. When it's a smaller mom and pop business, when it's a local business, when it's one you care about, when you can clearly see the effect of these things, then you give a shit more. But if it's a giant mega conglomerate where you know that this is going to not affect them in any way, people are more willing to not give a shit, to not care about those kind of things.
I suppose it's possible, but I would be very interested in going back to when the riots in America were happening and see exactly what stores were hit during the thieving and the looting situations, because I really don't think that there would be that much of a difference. Obviously, the big department stores are going to get hit, but I also think a lot of those mom and pop stores around that area would also have been hit. So I would be interested in going back and look.
Yeah,
the mom and pop
people were just mad then.
Huh?
All of the mom and pop stores had to shut down. Amazon did fine and made record profits, actually.
Yeah. What's your point? My point was that they were both stolen from in that situation.
COVID is a great example as well. When circumstances change that Amazon can support and small local stores can't, think how many local businesses just up and disappeared because of COVID. So it becomes all these circumstances blend together and make people say, you know, Amazon has all this working for them. I don't mind working against them every now and then. Whereas, you know, with a smaller business, you think, well, I have to support them. Think about the cultural idea now of support local businesses. How strong and pervasive that idea is. Whether or not people actually take action and do it is one thing, but think about how often it's said and repeated and shouted everywhere with the rise of all these giant fucking corporations. I would be far more willing to bet that people would have a much harder time being less scrupulous with them than with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, etc.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like corporations. Like I feel no sympathy for them when people do steal from them. I don't like these big companies. I would strongly suggest not buying from them as much as you can, obviously. But I just still don't consider stealing from them like a morally correct avenue of living life. I don't know.
I don't think it's morally correct. I think it's far more excusable.
Sure, we can get into great. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah. People are going to find it more excusable. Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going in circles now, so probably best to move on to
Yeah, I'll take another victory. It's okay. W
Yeah,
on
that's
the
fine.
board.
Rooster Teeth.
Oh yeah, Rooster Teeth. Right.
Rooster Teeth shut down. How are we feeling about that, guys?
It's weird. It's very weird.
Weird.
Yeah, because I don't care as much as I thought I would.
Well, they've kind of been like teasing us up to it for like 6
Yeah.
years. It's like,
That's probably
oh, yeah.
why, you know, because
It's like,
so I
that was bound
grew
to
up
happen.
watching it. Jackson, I know you did too. Kai, did you watch them growing up at all?
No.
Okay, so this is for Jackson then. This is me and Jackson corner. You can go talk about Mad Max. We'll have our own little anyway.
Okay, bye.
So no, please, for the love of God.
See you next episode.
So I grew up watching them throughout, like, I think college, early college is when they first started really taking off for me, maybe late high school. And yeah, I was super into it, and I'd watch the Let's Plays and the skits and the news and the shows and this and that, and it was super good. And then they fell off, as we all know they did. And I really thought when they finally, once and for all ended, I'd be like, damn, man, that sucks. That sucks. But I guess because for the last 5 years, we've kind of seen it coming.
Been expecting it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah.
They felt like you probably stopped watching like 2015, I have to imagine, at least around
Maybe
that
even
time.
before then, yeah. But they stayed popular for a while, yeah.
They were popular, I'd say, up until about 2018, and then they kind of dropped from there on. But yeah, I stopped around 2014, 2015 personally.
Right.
I did move on to Funhouse, which is obviously that they were owned by Rooster Teeth as well. So I watched a lot of Funhouse up until I think probably like 2018, once the crew started leaving that company. So I think I had accepted Rooster Teeth's death back in like 2015, once it like stopped being good to me, like once I stopped enjoying it, you know, so I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah, I think
actually crazy to see such a like enormous titan of the industry, like one of these big machinima kind of companies, like probably the biggest in the space during that like early 2010 period, just finally shut its doors. It's kind of insane.
It's just how the internet's changed, you know? They aren't really doing anything these days that people would flock to them for everything. You know, people have the whole litany and choice and everything. Something that they did really well back in the beginning is they gave you everything for a gaming channel. They did skits, they did Let's Plays, they did news updates, they did like everything you could imagine if you wanted gaming content. But now you can get that from all around YouTube, all around the internet. You don't need one place for it. There's people these days with the money and budgets and teams doing what they're doing and either doing it better or what have you, you know?
Yeah, these giant production companies like Rooster Teeth just are a product of the past. They're not going to be a thing in the future. They're not sustainable. They're not. They don't make as much money as a guy just like kicking up a Twitch stream, you know, or starting a smaller channel, an individually owned channel. It's just not going to be a thing.
I really do think
bad thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's the shift in entertainment demands. I personally believe that the rise in streaming is what totally killed them. I think the more personal, more low-key, more straightforward type of content is what did them in. It just immediately showed you don't need a giant team, a giant warehouse, all these different series, all this stuff. You just need the connection to the entertainers. And they had that. They did. People really liked the cast and the people on it. But with streaming, it's a much more personal connection. It's a much more tailored experience. And that eventually just became what the majority of people want, you know?
I actually feel like what killed them was the fact that they were so personality driven and based in the initial years, that the personalities themselves became synonymous with the company itself. And then once those personalities moved on and new talent came in, it progressively got harder and harder for the audience to stick around for new faces that they didn't feel the same towards, obviously. So
yeah,
like, why would I stick around watching 4 new people who I don't kind of have that connection with anymore? I want, you know, Ray back, or I want, whoever else left back. I preferred them. It's just Ray. It's just Ray. Yeah,
it is. Ray's the only one who matters. Great friend of the show. Fuck all those other guys. I love you, Ray.
Ray is so fucking good.
Very nice, man.
Yeah, once he left, that's actually probably when I stopped watching, honestly, like Achievement Hunter and stuff. Like, I liked Jeff, Gavin, and all the rest, but like, I don't know, I just felt different once Ray left. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that was probably the main reason, and also they did get very like maybe not aggressive, but like not pandery, like speaking down to the audience a lot, which I don't think is ever a good thing. Like kind of calling your audience idiots and stuff like that for having different opinions and stuff like that. So I think that would have turned a lot of people away. And then during the later years, I think they were just apologizing constantly for scandals. Like every time we heard about Rooster Teeth, it was like something bad, right? It was like one of their VPs was a like sexual predator, or one of their on-screen talent was like grooming children, and then Jeff would have to come out and cry on a live stream talking about how sorry he is and stuff. Like that's not a fun environment.
Toward the end,
that's not a fun thing to tune into. I'm probably going to like distance myself from it, like Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter at that point. So I think that's probably what did what killed them at the end.
Yeah, I could see all of that coalescing into it. It felt like it was going to happen. It was like an old dog, you're just waiting, sitting around going, oh, it's going to be any day.
I'm surprised they lasted this long, honestly. I thought Warner Bros. Would have executed them like 4 years ago. Like,
weren't they carried for a while by their Machinima series, like Red vs. Blue and all that shit? Like, wasn't that the only thing keeping them going for a while?
It was Red vs. Blue, Achievement Hunter, and Ruby, right? Or Let's Play and Ruby. Those were the big ones, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and then so they've been shut down by Warner Brothers, I think effective immediately or something like that, within a month maybe. But their Roost podcast network will continue afterwards. So that's obviously an incredibly profitable aspect of the company. So they're keeping that around. And I think
which makes sense because the overhead on it is nothing. You don't even have to buy regular equipment or props or anything. They've got the setup, they've got the microphones and the people, and that's it. That's all a podcast.
Oh no,
really needs. They're done.
I don't even think they're making podcasts anymore. I think they're literally
never mind.
I think they're just selling ads. They're just selling ads to other podcasts. They're a network.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, never mind. All right, fuck. Well, you can't even do the most simple entertainment format. We're doing a podcast right now, and I can tell you right now, out of everything I work on, this is easily the most simple thing, without a doubt. Like, takes nothing.
It's no surprise why literally every creator online has a podcast. It is so low overhead, so easy to produce, and the money is very good. In terms of
we are multimillionaires now, living in our mansions.
Yeah. So it's no surprise why the Roost network is still around.
More importantly, Kaya, what do you think of all this terrible, shocking news you're invested in?
I agree with Jackson.
What I say?
Somehow.
What I say, huh?
I don't know.
I pay attention whenever you go on your rant. Why can't you pay attention to me?
I'm sorry.
Good.
Rooster Teeth.
What?
That's Kaya's point. Rooster Teeth.
He just says the word. Good enough.
Well, unfortunate for the people who lost their jobs. Hopefully they can find something. But it was bound to happen,
It wasn't a good work environment from what I hear. Like the animators were punched like violently, like really bad working environments, and then after that they just get laid off unceremoniously. So sucks.
Oh well, product of the times. It was coming.
Warner Brothers sucks. They have been like shuttering so many things at the moment. Like, didn't they get rid of like 2 entire movies? They just didn't release them, just deleted them.
The one that I know happened recently is they made a Wile E. Coyote movie, and the team was really proud of it and kept saying, "Oh, it's actually great, it's fantastic," and like all the previews were good and like everything was optimistic. And then Warner Brothers decided it would be cheaper to tax write it off than to try to see the box office profits. So they literally just scrapped the entire thing. Like, all right, go fuck yourself.
That's a really bad sign for Warner Brothers if they're that desperate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. Hopefully they close down next. I want to see what happens.
I don't know, man. Things are probably gonna pick up on them because Barbie is now like the 14th highest grossing movie of all time, and it's under Warner Brothers umbrella.
God damn it. Just let them die. Yeah. I just want Warner Brothers to die. It would be so entertaining.
It's their first big one like that in a while, though, so we'll see what happens.
It was a fine movie. Did it win the Oscar?
I don't know. I didn't watch. Who cares? I'm not 40.
Kai, did you watch the
Gosling
Oscars?
did.
What am I saying? Of course you did. Who won?
Gosling? For best song? I don't know.
Huh.
I meant best picture.
I think Godzilla won Best Picture.
Did it actually? No way.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of stuff on Twitter where people were like, oh, good job, Godzilla. I think it did, but might have been a different award.
Might have been like foreign film or something. Oppenheimer won Best Film. Just looked it up.
Oh, okay. All I know is I saw on Twitter a little bit while checking it that people were going nuts over Godzilla winning an Oscar, so I thought maybe, okay.
I really think Poor Things deserve to win over Oppenheimer. That's my controversial
Poor Things?
take. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
You watch it. It is so fucking good. It's a Yorgos Lanthimos film. Have you watched the movie The Lobster? Or Killing of a Sacred
but
Deer?
I know of it.
Oh, please watch them all. Like, I genuinely think it's right up your alley, Andrew. Like, that's a healthy recommendation from me. So good.
Okay.
Start with The Lobster. It's so good. Alrighty, let's wrap there. Do you guys have any last minute stuff?
No.
Nah.
No. Alrighty, thanks guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's rip Rooster Teeth in chat.
And Toriyama.
Oh yeah, and Toriyama.
Oh yeah,
died as well.
Yeah.
Both of them this week.
Yeah. He was young. How old was he? I remember he was young.
He was like
58,
wasn't he? Yeah.
That's young, man.
That is
like,
that
that sucks.
Young, yeah. Oh no, he was 68 when he died.
Oh, 68. Oh.
Slightly,
okay, not
more
as
believable.
young, but still, still younger.
They're still young, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Patreon.com/theofficialpodcast for bonus episodes, bonus content early, like Red Thread and this show early and adless. So lots of benefits to go over there. Go check it out. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.